Imagine if simply changing the way you think could unlock new levels of success in your career, relationships, and personal growth. Sounds incredible, right? That's exactly what Carol Dweck's Mindset, the new psychology of success, reveals. In this audiobook summary, you'll discover how shifting from a fixed to a growth mindset can transform your life. Whether you're striving for success in business, education, or personal development, this summary will break down key insights that show how embracing challenges, learning from mistakes, and putting in effort can lead to lasting achievement. We'll explore powerful examples from real life, athletes, entrepreneurs, and even everyday people who have harnessed the power of mindset to overcome obstacles and thrive. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll have the tools to unlock your own potential. Mindset, the new psychology of success by Carol Dweck, is more than a guide to self-improvement. It's a masterclass in how to rewire your thinking to achieve greater success in all areas of life. The core of Dweck's groundbreaking theory lies in the way we view our abilities, whether we believe they are fixed and unchangeable or flexible and able to grow. This mindset shapes how we face challenges, learn from setbacks, and pursue success. In this summary, we'll unpack the key distinction between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset while showing you practical ways to adopt a growth-oriented approach. Whether you're aiming to excel in your career, enhance personal relationships, or simply become the best version of yourself, this summary will provide the tools to help you break free from limiting beliefs and embrace the process of continuous improvement. So, what exactly are these mindsets, and why do they make such a big difference? Let's dive into the psychology of the fixed and growth mindsets to discover how a simple change in thinking can open the door to lifelong growth and achievement. Chapter 1. The Mindsets. In this first chapter, Carol Dweck introduces us to the two central mindsets that shape how we perceive our abilities and navigate life. These are the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. She explores how these fundamental beliefs have a profound impact on our success, learning, and personal growth. The fixed mindset is the belief that intelligence, talents, and abilities are fixed traits. They cannot be significantly changed. People with this mindset often feel that they are either born with certain abilities or they are not. As a result, they become highly focused on proving their intelligence or talent over and over again. When someone with a fixed mindset encounters a challenge, they tend to shy away from it. They see struggles or failures not as opportunities for learning, but as threats to their image. If they can't succeed easily or immediately, they often prefer to give up rather than risk failure, as failure is perceived as a reflection of their inherent lack of ability. Because of this belief, they also see effort as something negative. If you're naturally talented, why would you need to try hard? They believe that putting in effort is only necessary if you lack the ability. This mindset makes them highly sensitive to criticism and afraid to take risks, as they don't want their weaknesses to be exposed. On the other hand, Dweck introduces the concept of the growth mindset, which is the belief that intelligence and abilities can be developed through dedication, hard work, and learning. People with a growth mindset understand that their basic qualities are just the starting point, and that true potential can be unlocked through persistence and effort. Challenges are no longer threats, but opportunities for growth. They embrace failure as part of the learning process, knowing that each setback brings them closer to mastery. In this mindset, effort is not seen as a sign of inadequacy, but as an essential part of success. People with a growth mindset are willing to put in the necessary work to improve because they believe that their abilities can always be developed. When they face criticism, they view it constructively, seeing it as feedback that can help them grow. Dweck provides many examples of how these two mindsets play out in real life. Whether in school, in business, or in personal relationships, the mindset we adopt shapes our experiences. For instance, in education, students with a fixed mindset may believe they are either good at math or not, and that no amount of studying can change that. But students with a growth mindset see their abilities as a work in progress, and they approach challenges with the understanding that persistence will lead to improvement. By introducing these two mindsets, Dweck sets the stage for a deeper exploration into how these beliefs affect different areas of our lives. This chapter emphasizes that the mindset we choose can determine whether we thrive in the face of challenges or whether we get stuck in a cycle of avoidance and fear of failure. With this understanding in place, Dweck moves on to explore how these mindsets apply to various fields like sports, business, and relationships. But it all starts here, with the fundamental belief about whether we think our abilities are set in stone or whether we believe we can grow and evolve through effort and perseverance. Chapter 2. Inside the Mindsets. In this chapter, Dweck dives deeper into how the fixed and growth mindsets shape not only our personal views, but also our interactions with the world around us. She explores how these mindsets manifest in different areas of life, from school and work to sports and relationships, and how adopting one mindset over the other can profoundly influence the outcomes in these spheres. Starting with education, Dweck explains that students with a fixed mindset tend to see their academic performance as a reflection of their inherent intelligence. If they excel in a subject, it confirms their belief that they are smart. However, if they struggle, it becomes a sign that they are simply not good enough. This thinking can lead to avoidance of challenging subjects. For example, a student who believes they aren't naturally gifted in math may avoid taking higher-level math courses, fearing that failure will expose their perceived lack of intelligence. Instead of working through difficulties, they may give up, thinking that no amount of effort will change their abilities. This self-defeating cycle can cause them to plateau early in their learning journey. On the other hand, students with a growth mindset view challenges as opportunities to learn. They believe that no matter their starting point, they can improve through effort and persistence. A bad grade or a difficult class doesn't define their intelligence. It's simply feedback, a stepping stone to mastery. They engage more fully in learning, push through difficulties, and don't shy away from challenges. Dweck provides several examples of students who, through adopting a growth mindset, transformed their academic performances. They started to see effort not as something to be avoided, but as the very thing that would help them succeed. Moving into the world of sports, Dweck shares stories of athletes who embody both mindsets. Athletes with a fixed mindset often feel that natural talent is the only key to success. They might be celebrated for their abilities early in their careers, but when they face tougher competition or suffer injuries, they struggle to bounce back. Their belief that success should come easily can make them unwilling to put in the extra effort needed to overcome obstacles. They fear that trying hard would reveal their limitations. In contrast, athletes with a growth mindset approach their sport with the belief that they can improve through hard work. They understand that setbacks and failures are part of the process, and they see these as learning experiences. Dweck gives examples of renowned athletes like Michael Jordan, who embraced a growth mindset throughout his career. Jordan wasn't always the most naturally gifted player, but he continuously worked to improve. His willingness to embrace failure and push through adversity became a key part of his legendary success. Dweck also explores how mindsets play out in the business world. Leaders and employees with a fixed mindset often avoid risk, preferring safe decisions that preserve their reputation. They believe that success is a reflection of inherent talent, and so failure becomes something to be avoided at all costs. This can stifle innovation in organizations, as people are more concerned with maintaining an image of competence rather than embracing the risks that lead to breakthroughs. By contrast, leaders with a growth mindset encourage a culture of learning and innovation. They understand that success is not about being right all the time, but about being open to new ideas, even if that means making mistakes along the way. They foster environments where employees are encouraged to grow, learn from their failures, and take on challenges that push them out of their comfort zones. Finally, Dweck explores how mindsets affect personal relationships. People with a fixed mindset often view conflict or disagreement as a sign that the relationship is fundamentally flawed. They may avoid difficult conversations, fearing that admitting to problems will expose their personal inadequacies. In contrast, those with a growth mindset approach relationships as something that can evolve and improve through communication and effort. They are more likely to embrace conflict as an opportunity to grow closer and resolve issues. They understand that no relationship is perfect from the start, and that it takes work to build a strong bond. Dweck uses these examples to highlight the far-reaching impact of our mindsets. Whether in school, work, sports, or relationships, the belief that our abilities are fixed leads to avoidance of challenges and a fear of failure. On the other hand, a growth mindset opens us up to new possibilities, fosters resilience, and encourages us to see effort as the path to improvement. The chapter closes by reinforcing the idea that we are not stuck with one mindset or the other. Dweck emphasizes that we can learn to cultivate a growth mindset and, in doing so, dramatically change our experiences in all areas of life. Chapter 3: The Truth About Ability and Accomplishment. In this chapter, Carol Dweck delves into one of the most critical aspects of her research: how our mindset determines our approach to failure, adversity, and ultimately, success. She challenges the commonly held belief that success is solely a result of innate ability, and instead, she argues that effort, persistence, and how we interpret setbacks are far more important. For individuals with a fixed mindset, failure is seen as a defining moment, an undeniable verdict on their abilities. If they fail at something, it feels as though it's proof that they aren't talented or intelligent enough. This mindset makes failure devastating because it becomes a reflection of their personal worth. People with a fixed mindset often work very hard to avoid situations where failure might occur. They stay in their comfort zone, opting for tasks they already excel at because failure would expose their limitations. For them, the possibility of failure is something to fear and avoid at all costs. Dweck shares several real-life stories to illustrate this. For example, she describes students who avoided taking difficult classes for fear of getting lower grades, athletes who gave up when they weren't immediately successful, and professionals who refused to pursue challenging projects, not wanting to risk their reputation. In all these cases, the fixed mindset leads to stagnation. When people believe that their abilities are fixed, they become more focused on proving their worth rather than learning or growing. Failure, rather than being a learning experience, becomes a threat to their self-image. By contrast, those with a growth mindset view failure in a completely different light. To them, failure isn't the end of the story. It's part of the process of growth. They understand that abilities and talents are not static, but can be developed over time through effort and perseverance. When people with a growth mindset fail, they don't see it as a personal indictment, but as an opportunity to learn. They ask themselves, what can I take away from this? How can I improve? Dweck presents numerous examples of how a growth mindset enables individuals to turn failure into success. She tells the story of Thomas Edison, who famously said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." For Edison, each failure brought him closer to success because he viewed every setback as a learning experience. His persistence and belief in his ability to improve eventually led to his groundbreaking inventions. In the realm of business, Dweck cites entrepreneurs and leaders who faced significant challenges and setbacks but used those experiences to propel them forward. They didn't see failure as a reason to give up, but as feedback that allowed them to refine their approach. For example, Steve Jobs' infamous departure from Apple in 1985 could have been seen as a massive failure. However, instead of giving up, Jobs used that experience to fuel his next ventures, eventually returning to Apple and leading the company to unprecedented success. Dweck also shares the stories of athletes who experienced failure and how their mindset determined their response. Michael Jordan, considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time, famously spoke about the many failures that shaped his career. He was cut from his high school basketball team and faced countless defeats. Yet he viewed each failure as a stepping stone to improvement. Jordan's growth mindset made him work harder, practice more intensely, and ultimately achieve greatness. Dweck emphasizes that even in education, a growth mindset makes all the difference. In classrooms where effort and learning are valued over immediate results, students thrive. They come to see mistakes as part of the learning process and are more willing to take on challenging tasks. Teachers who encourage a growth mindset foster environments where students feel safe to try, fail, and grow from their mistakes. This shift in perspective helps students develop resilience and a love for learning that goes far beyond achieving high grades. Another key insight from this chapter is how effort is viewed by people with different mindsets. For those with a fixed mindset, effort is often seen as a sign of weakness. They believe that if you're truly talented, you shouldn't have to try hard. In their minds, effort is something only those who aren't naturally gifted need to expend. This view limits their potential as they shy away from challenges that require effort, believing it's an indication that they aren't good enough. In stark contrast, those with a growth mindset understand that effort is essential for success. They see it as the engine of improvement, recognizing that sustained effort over time leads to mastery. For them, hard work isn't something to be avoided. It's embraced. They know that the greatest achievements come from persistence, even in the face of failure. Dweck concludes the chapter by reinforcing the idea that failure is not a reflection of our inherent worth, but a necessary part of growth. She argues that the sooner we stop fearing failure and start viewing it as an opportunity to learn, the sooner we'll unlock our true potential. She stresses that by adopting a growth mindset, we can reframe our relationship with failure and use it as fuel to achieve lasting success. This chapter serves as a powerful reminder that the way we interpret setbacks can either hold us back or push us forward. Dweck urges us to embrace the growth mindset, which allows us to see failure not as a personal flaw, but as a natural and essential part of the path to accomplishment. Chapter 4. The Mindset of a Champion. In this chapter, Carol Dweck explores how mindsets play a pivotal role in sports, where the drive to succeed and handle failure is especially visible. She begins by illustrating that athletic success isn't just about physical talent or ability. It's about the mindset athletes bring to the game, how they handle setbacks, practice, and pressure. Dweck argues that the most successful athletes aren't necessarily those born with natural talent, but those who embrace a growth mindset. Athletes with a fixed mindset often focus on proving their talent. If they win, it reinforces their belief that they are naturally gifted. But if they lose, it can shatter their self-image. To them, failure is more than just losing a game. It's a blow to their identity. As a result, athletes with a fixed mindset may avoid difficult competition to protect their reputation, or worse, give up when things get tough. They fear that trying too hard or failing in front of others will expose their limitations. Dweck shares the example of tennis star John McEnroe, a highly talented player who often exhibited a fixed mindset throughout his career. McEnroe was known for his tantrums and excuses whenever he lost. Rather than acknowledging that his opponent was better or that he needed to improve, McEnroe often blamed external factors, bad calls, bad luck, or the crowd. His natural talent brought him to the top of the game, but his fixed mindset prevented him from handling failure constructively. He couldn't accept that growth, effort, and learning were part of the journey. In contrast, Dweck highlights athletes with a growth mindset who view challenges and setbacks as opportunities to grow and learn. These athletes aren't afraid to lose because they know that failure is part of the process of improvement. They see effort as essential to success and embrace practice, knowing that talent alone isn't enough. One of the most famous examples Dweck provides is basketball legend Michael Jordan. Jordan is often celebrated for his work ethic and relentless pursuit of improvement. Early in his career, Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team, a failure that could have crushed someone with a fixed mindset. But instead of letting it define him, Jordan used it as motivation. He worked tirelessly to improve his skills, always pushing himself beyond his limits. Even as he became a dominant player in the NBA, Jordan continued to practice harder than anyone else, always looking for ways to elevate his game. He was known for saying, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." His growth mindset made him resilient, allowing him to bounce back from setbacks and emerge even stronger. Dweck also explains that the growth mindset is crucial in training and preparation. Athletes who believe they can improve through effort approach training with enthusiasm and persistence. They are willing to put in long hours of practice, not just because they want to win, but because they believe in the power of hard work. For example, Kobe Bryant, another basketball legend, was renowned for his grueling practice sessions, often arriving at the gym hours before his teammates to work on his skills. Like Jordan, Bryant believed that talent was only a starting point, and greatness was achieved through relentless effort and dedication. Dweck also points out that the growth mindset allows athletes to handle pressure better. When the stakes are high, such as in championship games or crucial moments, athletes with a fixed mindset often crumble under the weight of expectations. They are so focused on proving themselves that the fear of failure takes over. They start to think, what if I fail? What if I'm not as good as people think I am? This fear can lead to choking in critical moments. On the other hand, athletes with a growth mindset remain calm and focused, even under immense pressure. They understand that performance isn't about being perfect all the time, but about giving their best effort. If they fail, it's not the end of the world. It's just another step in the process of learning. Their mindset frees them from the crippling fear of failure, allowing them to perform at their best when it matters most. Dweck also touches on the role of coaches in fostering a growth mindset in their athletes. Great coaches understand that while natural talent is important, the most successful athletes are those who are willing to work hard, learn from their mistakes, and continually improve. She cites coaches like John Wooden, the legendary basketball coach at UCLA, who focused on developing the whole athlete. Wooden believed that success wasn't just about winning games, but about personal growth, effort, and character development. His emphasis on practice, learning from failure, and focusing on improvement helped create a culture of excellence that led to unprecedented success. In this chapter, Dweck makes it clear that while natural talent may give athletes an initial advantage, it is the growth mindset that ultimately separates the good from the great. The ability to embrace challenges, work hard, and learn from failure is what creates champions, not just in sports, but in any field. The chapter concludes with a powerful message. Whether in sports, business, or life, the key to success isn't just about having talent or intelligence. It's about cultivating a mindset that allows us to grow, learn, and improve every day. Those who adopt the growth mindset can overcome setbacks, push past their limits, and achieve greatness, while those with a fixed mindset may find themselves stuck, unable to rise to their full potential. Chapter 5. Business, Mindset, and Leadership. In this chapter, Carol Dweck turns her attention to the business world, exploring how mindsets shape leadership, innovation, and organizational success. Just like in sports or education, the way leaders and employees view their abilities and potential for growth has a profound effect on their performance and the culture they create within their companies. Dweck explains that businesses and leaders who embrace a growth mindset foster environments where innovation thrives, employees are empowered to learn, and challenges are seen as opportunities to grow. Leaders with a fixed mindset, on the other hand, believe that talent alone drives success. These leaders often focus on hiring stars, people they perceive as having natural abilities. They assume that success will come naturally to those individuals and that their role as leaders is to keep those stars happy and avoid rocking the boat. Unfortunately, this mindset can lead to a toxic work culture where employees feel the pressure to always prove themselves rather than to grow and learn. Mistakes are feared and innovation is stifled because taking risks could result in failure. And in a fixed mindset culture, failure is seen as a weakness. Dweck shares the story of Enron as a cautionary tale. Enron, once considered a shining example of corporate success, had a leadership culture that prized natural talent above all else. Leaders at Enron promoted the idea that you either had it or you didn't, and as a result, the company became obsessed with hiring the smartest people in the room. Employees were constantly judged based on their perceived brilliance, and any signs of weakness or failure were swiftly punished. This led to a toxic, cutthroat environment where employees hid mistakes and took reckless risks in order to maintain the appearance of success. Eventually, this culture of arrogance and fear of failure contributed to the company's infamous collapse. In contrast, companies that foster a growth mindset culture emphasize learning, collaboration, and resilience. Leaders in these companies don't just focus on hiring the smartest people. They focus on creating an environment where employees are encouraged to develop, take risks, and learn from their mistakes. Dweck explains that growth mindset leaders understand that innovation often comes from experimentation, and not every experiment will be a success. What matters is the willingness to learn from failures and use them as opportunities for improvement. Dweck highlights several companies that have embraced a growth mindset to great success, including giants like Microsoft. After years of operating with a more fixed mindset, Microsoft experienced a significant cultural shift under the leadership of Satya Nadella. Nadella, who became CEO in 2014, emphasized the importance of a growth mindset from the very beginning. He encouraged employees to be open to learning, to collaborate, and to focus on continuous improvement. Instead of focusing solely on results, Nadella emphasized the process of learning and growth. The shift transformed Microsoft's culture, sparking innovation and enabling the company to regain its competitive edge. In growth mindset organizations, failure is not stigmatized, but rather seen as a natural part of the process of growth. Employees feel empowered to take on challenges, experiment with new ideas, and share their failures openly without fear of retribution. Dweck notes that when employees aren't constantly worried about proving their worth or being judged, they can focus on improving their skills, learning new things, and contributing to the company's success. This kind of culture leads to greater innovation, better problem solving, and ultimately, higher levels of success. One of the most important takeaways from this chapter is that leaders play a crucial role in shaping the mindset of their organizations. Leaders with a fixed mindset often create hierarchical cultures where success is measured by immediate results and mistakes are punished. In contrast, growth mindset leaders cultivate environments where employees feel safe to experiment, ask questions, and grow. These leaders model the behavior they want to see, showing their teams that it's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them. Dweck also explores the idea of feedback in the workplace and how mindsets influence the way both leaders and employees respond to it. In fixed mindset cultures, feedback is often viewed as criticism.
And employees may become defensive when given constructive advice. Leaders in these environments may hesitate to provide feedback, fearing that it will demoralize their team. But in a growth mindset culture, feedback is seen as a valuable tool for development. Leaders provide feedback not to criticize, but to help employees grow. And employees are more open to receiving it because they understand that it's part of their learning process. This mindset shift can make a significant difference in how teams operate and improve over time. Another key theme in this chapter is collaboration. In fixed mindset organizations, employees may be more focused on competing with each other to prove their worth, leading to a lack of collaboration. But in a growth mindset company, teamwork and collaboration are encouraged. Employees understand that they can learn from one another and that working together can lead to better solutions. This collaborative spirit, Dweck explains, is essential for driving innovation and fostering a positive work environment. Dweck concludes the chapter by emphasizing that while talent and intelligence are important, it's the mindset of both leaders and employees that determines whether a company will achieve sustained success. Companies that embrace the growth mindset create cultures where employees are encouraged to stretch beyond their current abilities, experiment, and grow over time. In these environments, failure is not feared, but rather seen as a necessary step on the path to success. This chapter serves as a powerful reminder that businesses are not static entities. Just like individuals, organizations can evolve and grow by adopting a growth mindset. When leaders model this mindset, they create a ripple effect that transforms the entire company, leading to greater innovation, resilience, and long-term success. Chapter 6. Mindsets in Love and Friendship. In this chapter, Carol Dweck shifts the focus from professional and academic success to something more personal: our relationships. Just like in other areas of life, the mindsets we adopt in love and friendship play a pivotal role in shaping how we handle conflicts, grow together, and ultimately, the success or failure of our relationships. Dweck begins by explaining how people with a fixed mindset approach relationships. For them, there's often a belief in destiny, that relationships are either meant to be or they aren't. In other words, if they found the right partner or friend, everything should naturally fall into place without effort. When conflicts arise, these individuals may interpret the issues as signs that something is fundamentally wrong with the relationship. They think, if this person were really the one, we wouldn't be fighting. As a result, they may avoid difficult conversations or expect their partner or friend to intuitively understand their needs. To them, conflict is seen as a threat, a sign that the relationship is failing, and often they withdraw or give up rather than working through it. Dweck explains that this fixed mindset can be detrimental because it discourages communication and problem solving. If you believe that a relationship shouldn't require effort, then the inevitable challenges that come with being close to someone can feel overwhelming. Instead of seeing arguments or differences as opportunities to grow closer, people with this mindset may take them as signs that they've chosen the wrong person, or that they are personally flawed in some way. On the other hand, Dweck introduces the idea of a growth mindset in relationships. People with this mindset understand that relationships, like any other area of life, require effort, communication, and a willingness to grow. They don't expect everything to be perfect from the start, and they view conflicts as opportunities to learn more about each other. Instead of seeing disagreement as a sign that the relationship is doomed, they view it as a chance to deepen their connection. This growth mindset allows individuals to approach problems with curiosity rather than defensiveness. When disagreements arise, they are more likely to ask, "How can we understand each other better?" or "What can we do to improve this situation?" This mindset fosters open communication, trust, and resilience. Partners or friends are able to talk through their issues, understand each other's perspectives, and find solutions together. They recognize that a healthy relationship is not about avoiding conflict, but about learning how to navigate it in a way that strengthens the bond. Dweck also discusses how people with different mindsets handle rejection and hurt in relationships. For those with a fixed mindset, rejection can feel like a personal failure. If a relationship ends, they might think, "I wasn't good enough," or "I'm not worthy of love." This
can lead to feelings of hopelessness and a reluctance to pursue future relationships because they view relationships as something that should come naturally. They may struggle to recover from heartbreak and find it difficult to move forward. However, individuals with a growth mindset are able to see rejection or the end of a relationship as part of life's learning process. Instead of viewing it as a personal flaw, they recognize that relationships are complex and that both people involved have room to grow. They ask themselves, "What can I learn from this experience? And how can I improve myself for future relationships?" This mindset helps them heal, learn, and ultimately become better partners or friends in the future. Dweck offers several examples of how these mindsets play out in real life. She shares stories of couples who struggled because one or both partners had a fixed mindset. These couples believed that their love should be effortless, and when problems arose, they felt defeated. In contrast, she highlights couples who embraced a growth mindset and were able to navigate challenges together, coming out stronger on the other side. In these relationships, Both partners understood that love requires work, that it's a process of growing and evolving together over time. Friendships, Dweck explains, are also impacted by the mindset we bring to them. In fixed mindset friendships, individuals may feel the need to prove their worth or maintain a certain image. They might avoid opening up about their struggles or asking for help, fearing that it will make them seem weak. They may also become competitive, viewing their friends' successes as a threat to their own self-esteem. In contrast, friendships rooted in a growth mindset thrive on mutual support, learning, and shared growth. Friends with this mindset celebrate each other's successes and offer help without judgment when things go wrong. They understand that true friendship isn't about always being perfect, but about being there for each other, learning from each other, and growing together. They are open to honest communication and view challenges within the friendship as opportunities to deepen their bond. Dweck also touches on how mindset affects parent-child relationships. Parents with a fixed mindset might believe that their child's personality, intelligence, or talents are set in stone. They may praise their child for being smart or talented, thinking they are building confidence, but in reality, they may be encouraging a fixed mindset. This can create pressure for the child to always live up to that label, making them afraid to take risks or make mistakes. On the other hand, parents with a growth mindset focus on effort, learning, and resilience. They encourage their children to take on challenges and praise them for their persistence rather than for innate talent. These parents create an environment where the child feels safe to explore, fail, and try again. This helps the child develop a growth mindset, which will serve them well in all aspects of life, including their relationships. Dweck concludes the chapter by emphasizing that relationships are not fixed entities. They can grow and change. Whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, or a parent-child relationship, the mindset we bring to it can make all the difference. By adopting a growth mindset, we can foster stronger, more resilient connections where both people feel empowered to grow together, handle challenges, and deepen their bonds over time. Chapter 7. Where do mindsets come from? In this chapter, Carol Dweck explores how mindsets are shaped from a young age by the people who influence us the most: parents, teachers, and coaches. These authority figures play a crucial role in either fostering a fixed mindset or encouraging a growth mindset in children and students. Dweck emphasizes that the messages children receive about ability, intelligence, and effort can shape their mindset for life, influencing how they handle challenges, setbacks, and success. Dweck begins by discussing the impact of parents on the development of mindset. Parents often believe they are helping their children by praising them for being smart or talented. However, Dweck argues that this kind of praise can inadvertently encourage a fixed mindset. When children are told they are smart, they come to believe that intelligence is an inherent trait, something they either have or don't have. As a result, they may start to avoid challenges that could threaten this label. If they believe that being smart is what makes them valuable, then struggling with something difficult could mean that they are no longer smart. This creates a fear of failure and a reluctance to take risks. Dweck highlights the importance of praising effort rather than ability. When parents praise their children for their effort, persistence, and hard work, they send the message that improvement comes from trying and learning, not from being naturally gifted. This encourages a growth mindset where children feel empowered to take on challenges and view failure as an opportunity to grow. Dweck shares examples of children who, when praised for their effort, became more resilient and willing to tackle difficult tasks. They learned that success is not about proving you're smart, but about continuously learning and improving. The chapter also focuses on teachers and how the classroom environment can either promote a fixed or growth mindset. Teachers, much like parents, can unintentionally instill a fixed mindset in their students by focusing on innate ability rather than effort. For example, a teacher who praises students for being gifted or for quickly grasping concepts might lead those students to believe that success is about natural intelligence. Students who struggle may start to see themselves as less capable and may withdraw from trying. Dweck presents stories of classrooms where the focus was on who was the smartest rather than who was learning the most. In these environments, students were often afraid to ask questions, admit they didn't know something, or make mistakes. They didn't want to appear less smart in front of their peers, and this fear of failure stifled their ability to learn. However, Dweck contrasts these classrooms with those led by growth mindset teachers who emphasize learning, effort, and improvement. These teachers create a culture where mistakes are seen as part of the learning process, where students are praised for persistence and creativity, not just for getting the right answers. In these environments, students feel safe to explore difficult subjects, ask questions, and take intellectual risks. Growth mindset teachers encourage a love of learning that goes beyond grades or test scores. They help their students develop resilience by teaching them that their abilities can be developed through effort and that challenges are essential for growth. Dweck also addresses the role of coaches in shaping athletes' mindsets. Much like teachers and parents, coaches can either foster a fixed mindset by emphasizing natural talent or cultivate a growth mindset by focusing on effort, practice, and resilience. Coaches who only praise athletes for winning or for being naturally talented can create a culture where athletes fear failure and avoid taking risks. If an athlete believes that their value comes from being the best or winning, they may crumble under pressure, become defensive in the face of criticism, or lose motivation when they don't perform well. In contrast, growth mindset coaches focus on developing their athletes' abilities through practice and persistence. They praise hard work, improvement, and the willingness to face tough competition, even if it results in failure. These coaches create an environment where athletes feel encouraged to take on challenges, push their limits, and learn from their mistakes. Dweck provides examples of famous coaches who embody this mindset, such as John Wooden, the legendary basketball coach at UCLA. Wooden believed that success wasn't just about winning games, but about continuous improvement and character development. He emphasized effort, preparation, and learning from mistakes, which helped his players develop resilience and long-term success both on and off the court. A critical message of this chapter is that mindsets are not set in stone. Even if children, students, or athletes have developed a fixed mindset, the adults in their lives have the power to help them shift to a growth mindset. Dweck explains that through consistent messaging about effort, learning, and improvement, parents, teachers, and coaches can help others break free from the limitations of a fixed mindset. The shift not only improves performance in the short term, but also sets the stage for long-term success and fulfillment. Dweck concludes the chapter by emphasizing that the words we use and the behaviors we model have a profound impact on those around us. Whether we are parents, teachers, or coaches, we have the power to instill a growth mindset in the next generation, helping them become more resilient, capable, and ready to tackle life's challenges. By encouraging a love of learning, a willingness to take on difficult tasks, and an openness to failure, we can help children, students, and athletes reach their full potential. Chapter 8. Changing Mindsets. In this pivotal chapter, Carol Dweck focuses on the question many readers might be asking at this point: can we change our mindset? The answer, according to Dweck, is a resounding yes. She explains that while it may take time and effort, it is entirely possible to shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. In fact, understanding how to make this change is crucial for unlocking our full potential in life. Dweck begins by acknowledging that we all have a mix of both mindsets. It's not as if we are completely fixed or entirely growth-oriented in every situation. For example, you might have a growth mindset when it comes to your hobbies or fitness, but a fixed mindset about your intellectual abilities or your career. Recognizing where you fall on this spectrum is the first step to change. Dweck encourages us to identify the areas in our lives where we tend to have a fixed mindset, especially when facing challenges or criticism. Once we've identified the fixed mindset areas in our lives, Dweck suggests that we start by becoming aware of our inner dialogue, the automatic thoughts we have when we encounter a challenge or setback. For people with a fixed mindset, this inner voice tends to say things like, "You're just not good at this," or, "If you fail, everyone will know you're not talented." These are the thoughts that stop us from trying new things or pushing through difficult situations. To change this, Dweck suggests we begin talking back to these fixed mindset voices with a growth mindset response. Instead of accepting the idea that failure defines you, you can say, "I can learn from this," or "This is an opportunity to grow." This may sound simple, but it's a powerful technique to start rewiring the way we approach challenges. By consistently replacing fixed mindset thoughts with growth mindset ones, we can slowly shift our perspective and break free from the limitations of the fixed mindset. Dweck emphasizes that this process doesn't happen overnight. Changing your mindset is a journey, and like anything else worth pursuing, it requires persistence and effort. She encourages us to embrace the process of change, recognizing that setbacks and difficulties are a natural part of the learning curve. Just as we must put effort into learning a new skill, we must also put effort into shifting our mindset. A key aspect of this transformation is the willingness to embrace challenges rather than shy away from them. Dweck explains that people with a fixed mindset tend to avoid challenges because they fear failure. But to change our mindset, we must start seeking out challenges. This could be anything from taking on a difficult project at work, learning a new skill, or even pushing yourself out of your comfort zone in social situations. The more we engage with challenges, the more we start to see them as opportunities for growth rather than threats. Dweck also talks about the importance of persistence in changing your mindset. Those with a fixed mindset often give up when things get tough, but adopting a growth mindset means developing the resilience to keep going, even when things are difficult. This is where the magic happens. It's not about succeeding on the first try, but about learning from mistakes and continuing to improve over time. Dweck shares several stories of people who embraced persistence in their lives, using failures and setbacks as stepping stones to eventual success. From athletes to entrepreneurs, she shows that those who are willing to stick with their efforts, even in the face of failure, ultimately achieve more in the long run. Another important part of changing your mindset is learning to reframe failure. Dweck explains that failure can either be seen as the end of the road or as a valuable learning experience. People with a fixed mindset tend to view failure as a confirmation of their limitations, But those with a growth mindset see failure as part of the journey toward mastery. They don't fear failure, they embrace it because they know that it's through failure that they learn the most. This shift in perspective can be transformative. When you stop fearing failure and start seeing it as a chance to grow, you become more open to taking risks and pursuing your goals with confidence. In addition to reframing failure, Dweck discusses the importance of feedback in the process of changing your mindset. People with a fixed mindset often take feedback personally, seeing it as a criticism of their abilities. In contrast, those with a growth mindset view feedback as valuable information that can help them improve. To change your mindset, it's important to start welcoming feedback, even if it's difficult to hear. By seeing feedback as an opportunity to grow, rather than as an attack on your character, you open yourself up to learning and development. Dweck also encourages us to celebrate effort rather than just outcomes. In a fixed mindset world, we tend to celebrate success without acknowledging the hard work that went into achieving it. But in a growth mindset approach, the effort is what matters most. Whether you win or lose, succeed or fail, the fact that you gave your best effort is something to be proud of. By focusing on effort rather than results, we can stay motivated even when the results aren't immediately what we hoped for. Over time, this approach leads to better outcomes because it encourages us to keep going, even when progress is slow. The chapter ends with a reminder that changing your mindset is not about perfection, it's about progress. There will be moments when your fixed mindset creeps back in, especially when you're faced with new challenges or setbacks. But Dweck urges us to see these moments as part of the learning process. Every time you recognize a fixed mindset thought and replace it with a growth mindset response, you are making progress. And with time, the growth mindset becomes your natural way of thinking, allowing you to tackle life's challenges with more resilience, confidence, and openness to learning. Ultimately, Dweck's message is clear. No matter where you start, you have the power to change your mindset and unlock new possibilities for growth and success. By embracing a growth mindset, we can live fuller, more meaningful lives, unafraid of challenges, and open to all the learning opportunities life has to offer. Conclusion: Carol Dweck's Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, offers a powerful and transformative understanding of how our beliefs shape every aspect of our lives. At the heart of the book is the distinction between the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. Dweck shows us that the mindset we choose can either limit our potential or help us thrive in the face of challenges. The fixed mindset is based on the belief that our abilities, intelligence, and talents are set in stone. If you succeed, it means you're inherently smart or gifted. If you fail, it means you're not good enough. People with a fixed mindset often avoid challenges, give up easily, and see effort as a sign of weakness. Failure, to them, is a personal judgment rather than a learning opportunity. On the other hand, the growth mindset is grounded in the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. People with a growth mindset embrace challenges because they know that struggling and overcoming obstacles is how we improve. They view failure as a stepping stone to success and understand that effort is essential to mastery. In a growth mindset, no setback is final. It's merely a part of the process of becoming better. Throughout the book, Dweck shows how these mindsets play out in all areas of life: education, business, sports, and relationships. She provides countless real-world examples of how people with a growth mindset are more likely to succeed, not because they are inherently more talented, but because they are willing to work hard, learn from their mistakes, and persist even when things get tough. For parents, teachers, and coaches, Dweck stresses the importance of fostering a growth mindset in those we guide. By praising effort rather than ability and encouraging resilience in the face of failure, we can help the next generation develop a mindset that prepares them for lifelong success. Similarly, leaders in business must cultivate environments where innovation and growth are valued over proving one's worth. Most importantly, Dweck teaches us that mindsets can change. Even if you've lived much of your life with a fixed mindset, it's never too late to shift your perspective. By recognizing when fixed mindset thoughts creep in, talking back to them with a growth mindset response, and consistently seeking out challenges, you can transform your life. With time and effort, the growth mindset becomes second nature, enabling you to tackle challenges with confidence and see failure as a natural part of learning. The ultimate message of mindset is one of hope and possibility. No matter where you start, you have the power to change. Success isn't about being naturally gifted or lucky. It's about the effort you're willing to put in and your belief in the possibility of growth. By adopting a growth mindset, we unlock the potential for continuous improvement, resilience in the face of setbacks, and a life full of learning and accomplishment. That brings us to the end of this audiobook summary of Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck. Now, the most important question is, how will you apply what you've learned? Remember, it's not about where you start, but about how willing you are to grow, learn, and improve along the way. The power to change your mindset is in your hands. If you found this summary helpful and you're ready to embrace the growth mindset in your own life, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more insightful audiobook summaries. Let me know in the comments how you plan to apply these ideas in your journey. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep pushing forward and growing every day.